The cost of living is about to spike again in California if Democrat politicians enact a crazy new law. Coming up, we'll tell you all about that and how we're fighting back. Plus, time is running out for you to step forward and run for office in the 2024 election cycle. It's not that difficult. We'll tell you how you can do it. All that and more coming up. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California, and there's no doubt about it. California is an expensive state to live in. It doesn't have to be that way, though. It's because our liberal politicians at the state and local level have enacted costly taxes, mandates, and fees and regulations. It is so expensive to live in California. The working class, the middle class, they are literally being squeezed out of our state. They cannot afford to live here anymore. By every measure, California is the most expensive state to live in. If you go to a website for the Transparency Foundation at thetransparencyfoundation.org, thetransparencyfoundation.org, you'll see on that site a report that I had a part in because I'm on the board of the Transparency Foundation. This is a nonprofit policy organization, and they put out good policy papers, good policy research. They actually shine a light and make things more transparent that the politicians don't want you to know about and that the liberal media certainly don't want you to know about. And they put out a study this past year showing that the typical middle-class family in California has to pay $26,478.72 more to live in California for a basic household budget compared to if they were living in any other state in the country and paying the average cost. So what they did at this Transparency Foundation report is they took a look at the basic building blocks of a household budget, rent, insurance, car insurance, health insurance, home insurance. They took a look at food. They took a look at just, utility bills, water bills, the basics for what would it cost for you to be a middle-class family in your typical town. They then compared that to the cost in California versus the average cost nationwide. So if we were just paying the average cost for electricity, the average cost for gas, the average cost for rent, the average cost for groceries, and so on and so forth, you could actually live and save $26,478 if you lived and paid the costs of an average state. But because you live in California, there is what we call a cost of living penalty of $26,000. The reason why I think this report is so crucial is that we always talk kind of in the abstract about how expensive California is, how much more expensive California is, but we never actually quantify it. $26,478 is a lot of money for a middle-class family to have to shell out. It really puts a transparent figure on the failure of California Democrat liberal politicians at the state and local level and how they don't care about your burden, your cost of living. They don't care about whether or not you can survive. They just keep passing more and more bills. And they say, oh, we're fighting for the little guy. No, they're not. They're fighting for the fat cat union boss. They're fighting for the lobbyist that lines their pockets with campaign contributions or the developer that doles out contributions in our broken political system. The only people who seem to benefit from California's broken political system are the people at the top of the pyramid, not the little guy, not the working family. If we were benefiting these folks, we wouldn't be pricing them out of our state. That's why I want to talk about today's top story. And that is there's this liberal group called One Fair Wage. Oh, Lord. This liberal organization is doing a big press conference today in Sacramento where they're calling for the expansion of California's recently imposed $20 minimum wage on restaurant workers. They want to expand it to all other sectors of California's economy. Watch, you got that masked, liberal protester. I mean, look, COVID ended a while ago. Take off your damn face diaper. Fight, don't starve. Give me a break. Again, this is like the pig giving the knife to the butcher. Uh, the folks that are being told that they're going to benefit from a minimum wage are actually the ones that are being crushed by that same minimum wage. And I know that minimum wage increases sound so popular, but when you look at the economics of minimum wage increases, they are so lousy. They are so toxic. They hurt the very people the politicians pretend that those wage hikes will help. Perfect example of this is that recent minimum wage increase. When that minimum wage increase was announced for restaurants, restaurants did two things. Number one, they destroyed jobs. They cut jobs through automation or just simply shutting down various locations. They cut jobs. And number two, they raised prices. So the cost of a hamburger at McDonald's or Wendy's, Jack in the Box, a burrito at Taco Bell all went through the roof. Don't take my word for it. Take a look at this story, how California fast food restaurants raised menu prices in response to the $20 minimum wage. This was in the New York Post just 2 weeks ago. Wendy's went up by 8%. Chipotle went up by 7.5%. This is all according to Kalinsky Equity Research. Starbucks went up by 7%. Taco Bell, 3%. And so on and so forth. And that's all in just the California area. And so when people say, oh, we're going to give you this minimum wage hike, we're going to make it easier for you to survive in California. No, they're not. They're imposing higher costs. Why? Because their union contracts are benchmarked to those wage increases. They're only trying to increase wages across the board for their union members. And then that means there's more money for union dues, which goes where? Those union dues go to the politicians in the form of a campaign contribution. And let's also point out that the minimum wage, these bills have all sorts of sweetheart exemptions. Again, if you're in the labor union, you don't have a minimum wage because you have a contract with a union that stipulates the wage. Also, if you're a billionaire who owns Panera restaurants, you can give out campaign contributions and get a sweetheart exemption for your restaurant chain, which is exactly what went down. And we still don't know the full details on that because there were non-disclosure agreements involved in it. The other reason why when minimum wage increases are not economically sound and end up hurting the very people that they say they're going to help is that minimum wage jobs are not supposed to be jobs where you're able to, fully fund your entire life or career. Minimum wage jobs are entry level jobs. And when you destroy an entry level job, when you have less entry level jobs, you are taking away opportunities for kids to get that first job, to actually start entering the workforce, to learn what a career is like, to go in and do a shift, to perhaps acquire skills and move up in the organization. Several years ago, about a decade ago, actually, we saw an increasing phenomenon in just California of internships being eliminated from nonprofit organizations, from for-profit organizations, internships being eliminated because in California, various labor laws made it absolutely impossible to offer an internship. I got my start in public policy in an unpaid internship. I was so grateful to get an unpaid internship because I was able to learn about public policy, make relationships, and then very shortly thereafter, I got a paid job. And hell hath no fury since then, I worry about the next generation not having that opportunity to get their foot in the door, test out a career through an unpaid internship because the internship's no longer available. They don't have an opportunity to make those connections to kind of test drive what it would be like working in a specific sector. Same is true of minimum wage jobs because the internships were eliminated. Then they said, okay, well, we'll still have these people, but we'll have to pay minimum wage, which means less opportunities, but at least we got the minimum wage jobs. Well, again, you increase the minimum wage, you're going to have less of those opportunities for kids. This is insane. You're hurting these kids, and you're really perverting the labor market. But these yahoos don't care. Uh, all they learned about in school were personal pronouns. They never learned about economics, and so they're out there hooting and hollering. All of this rolls up to the fact that California will be less affordable. Here's a story from Fox 11 in Los Angeles. 20 least affordable U.S. cities are in California. No surprise. The real estate tracking agency Construction Coverage looked at the most unaffordable cities to buy a home in. And they looked at the ratio of home prices to income as a basis of determining affordability. This is similar to what the Transparency Foundation did. But here are the top California cities that are not affordable. Newport Beach, Palo Alto, Glendale, Los Angeles, El Monte, Costa Mesa, El Cajon. It runs the gamut of our state. Central Valley, San Diego, Bay Area, Los Angeles, and Orange County. They basically said that the construction costs and just the overall high cost environment of California led to a higher cost per square foot for working families to afford their home or residence of choice. Two other stories I want to get to real quick. One's a story, one's an opportunity that I want you to be aware of. Here's this story that in the middle of a budget crisis, Governor Gavin Newsom seems to be putting more money in the budget for something called the California Climate Action Corps. And my good friend Katie Grimes at California Globe asks, what is Governor Newsom's California Climate Action Corps and why is he expanding it? She focuses on the woke nature of this government program, of trying to get people involved in climate action or sustainability or environmental advocacy. All that's correct. I think this is just a fool's errand. But there's a bigger, sinister plot at play here. The Climate Action Corps is a multi-million-dollar expenditure by Newsom. It's like $60 million at last count. $60 million, again, at a time when the state budget is $73 billion in red ink. But what's going on here is that these taxpayer dollars are going to hire these climate activists to go door to door during elections to encourage people to think about the environment when they're evaluating public policy positions of elected officials. Oh, you know where I'm going with this, right? They're funding their damn campaigns through this program and others like it, by the way. During the pandemic, we saw similar programs going door to door regarding healthcare issues. And it was all concentrated in Democrat areas to boost turnout during the election. These grants that they give out through these programs go to left-wing organizations. They don't go to conservative organizations. They go to left-wing organizations for door-to-door canvassing. And voila, those canvassers then, during the last month of the election, switch over to political campaigns. Because once you recruit and fund and train a canvasser for a nonprofit during, July, August, and September to do issue advocacy for the nonprofit, during the last 30 days of the election, when people have ballots in their hands, they switch over in a very cost-efficient way because the hiring costs are no longer there that you have to pay for. They switch over to a Democrat political campaign to help elect these liberals. We know what they're doing through this scam project. It's your taxpayer money being abused for politics, and it needs to stop. That's why he's doing it in the middle of a budget deficit. My last story I want to bring to your attention is we at Reform California are recruiting candidates to run for office. The candidate filing period for the November election for races in your area for water board, fire district, city council, school board, a lot of the local positions We're not on the primary ballot. They're on the general election ballot. And so we need candidates to run for those positions. A lot of positions, there's no good candidate running right now. There's only a liberal, far left-wing, extremist Democrat. So we need people to step forward who have integrity. That's all the qualifications you need. You don't need to know anything more. Just have integrity. Want to do the right thing for your community. You are infinitely more qualified than the left-wing lunatic that's currently in that position. And I know you might say, well, I don't know if I can put the time in to run for office. Look, some of these seats are won just by showing up and putting your name on the ballot. We would like to hear from you. If you're interested in running for office, we want to help counsel you and file you for office in your area. We'll let you know what's available. We'll connect you with local organizations and resources that can help you. And of course, we do have candidate training classes that we offer at Reform California to help you fill out the paperwork. You can check out positions that are available by going online to our reformcalifornia.org website. Maybe, like, for example, here's in San Diego, our voter guide. And we've listed all the candidate positions that we've recruited and endorsed in. But if you take a look here, like Del Mar, we've endorsed one candidate, but it says 2 candidates needed, please inquire. For the city council in Coronado, California, candidate needed, please inquire. So we have a list of candidates needed, please inquire. La Mesa, city council, candidate needed, please inquire. So let us know if you're interested. And we've got those voter guides. If your city is not listed as having a candidate that we've endorsed in, please contact us because we need a candidate. If you're not you, who? If not now, when? And if you don't want to become a candidate but want to support our efforts to recruit, train, endorse, and support quality candidates through our Reform California voter guide, please do so by going on the website reformcalifornia.org and chipping in a contribution. Until next time, Carl DeMaio, Chairman of Reform California. Help us break through the censorship of the liberal media. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and smash that notification button so you can stay up to date on all the developments in California news and politics. Also, please visit the website, reformcalifornia.org, for ongoing news coverage and to join one of our campaigns in the fight to take back our state. If you can, please sign up as a volunteer or chip in a contribution. This episode of Reform California with Carl DeMaio, paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly 2024.